Hello, this is Tim Law with Planet Forward Coaching, and always encouraging your self-reliance in your life and career. If you will set a goal for yourself, make sure you chase it with good teamwork, people skills, go the extra mile. There is no limit to what you can actually achieve as far as your life's concerned. One of the big things that's been part of my career is helping teenagers, young adults learn how to believe in themselves. I'm really, really happy to have a gentleman here. I've gotten to know him, pretty well with the Oswego State Wrestling reunions. Patrick Wittekind. Did I say that last name right, Patrick?
That's as good as you're going to get.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So tell us your story.
You didn't butcher it. So
Good, good. So tell us your story a little bit as far as any direction you want to go, whether it's your work, the impact wrestling's had on you, any direction you want to go, Patrick.
Okay, well that's wide open, but I guess I know you through wrestling, so Oswego Wrestling seems to be our connection, and we just got done with that the wonderful fundraising event that the college put together, but Shane really and Mike put together, and so I know hopefully there'll be lots of Oswego alums that are watching this or what have you. But I guess I don't know. I'm just another former wrestler that tries to give back to the sport that gave so much to me. I got into this. I guess. Well, I didn't start wrestling until high school, and I didn't know there was such a sport till I went to high school. I was kind of a New England. I was in New England in junior high. I never heard of the sport except for WWE type of thing. And so, anyway, long story short, I got like so many little guys. I was a 98, 105 pounder when I first started. They just needed a guy, right? They needed a guy to fill in the weight because one of the 105 pounder had gotten disciplinary problems. They had him back then, even back then. I was lucky enough to be attending a private school in Indiana. My dad had gotten a job at the place called Culver Academies, which is where Kayla Miracle actually went to high school, right? The Olympic, the gal that's on the Olympic team. I think she just got second in the world over the weekend.
Yeah. I think she lives in Maryland now.
Right. So
she's something.
In any case, it was a real good program, a real good team, but they were running short on guys and the little guys, and I just got coaxed into it, and one thing led to another, and I got like so many new guys, I got slaughtered my first year.
Sure.
I was 7 for 7 and getting 7 matches. Then I got pinned 7 times. That was the only job I had, was to go out there and not get stuck, and it just didn't work out. But in retrospect, as I look back on it, and even to this day, it's a school that wrestles nothing but just a tough schedule. There's not a team on the schedule that's there's no gimmies. So in any case, I had a real good high school coach. He was really tough and very very technical, extremely technical, and I stayed with it like so many people that don't like, I didn't like the idea of losing or somebody beating the hell out of you. I just knew in the bottom of just deep down inside, it's like, I'm going to get you guys back on this. You'll see, and I go to the summer tournaments, and it took me like 3 or 4 months in the summer tournaments to finally get my first win. So I went winless in the sport of wrestling for the better part of my first year. It wasn't until my varsity year, my sophomore season, I got a win, and then I ended up I think 10-9 and 1. They used to have draws back then, right? 10-9.
Oh yeah, I remember the draws for sure.
So, but then again, like so many, I had an opportunity to do it in the spring and the summer, and like just like the club kids that I work with now, um, you put in the work, it's going to pay off.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, I felt like putting in the work, and I wanted to, succeed in it, and it worked out. And ironically, when I got out of high school, I was not recruited at all heavily. There was no internet back then. I made it to the state finals in Indiana, which meant that I made the top 8. Right,
Mhm.
they had 8 guys make it to the state, and it was a single elimination tournament. And I happened to run into the guy who ended up being a 2-time state champ, and just uh, anyway, I lost my first round, and that was it. But I made it to the state finals, and I got a lot of small colleges. You know, uh,
Well,
I was going
how
to.
did you, what happened? How'd you get, end up going to Oswego?
So I went to a small school in Michigan first, called Kalamazoo College, and it's kind of like a Davidson. It was a smaller school, but it was Division III. I ended up being uh, I made a nationals my freshman year. I got a wild card out of the qualifier,
Mhm.
and then I proceeded to get. I went 1 and 2 at the NCAA's, but just got and I thought I was going to do something there, right? And I got there, and I just got throttled by the the number 2 seed after I won my first match, and then I got beat coming back, but. Uh, the long story short, I was getting really, I went to this small private school, made to nationals, kind of didn't do very well there, and then uh, went back for my sophomore year, and this was one of those places that cost a gazillion dollars a year, but they were lending me money to go, and I was paying for my own education,
Mhm.
so I was getting very indebted. And then I got hurt. So I got in an accident unrelated to wrestling. I was skiing accident over Christmas break, and I reevaluated um, my situation, my financial situation, and looking back at the nationals, it was all these guys from SUNY this, SUNY that, right?
Uh-huh.
SUNY Binghamton, SUNY Oswego,
Yeah.
SUNY. Dave Parisi was in the weight class just below me, and I remember watching him wrestle. And there was even a guy from Oswego at my weight class at 126, and I guess Doug Morse was there at the time.
Mhm.
Anyway, all these SUNY schools, Albany,
Yeah.
uh,
Rockport.
Rockport, right? There was even we're doing very well. And I went and lived with my sister in Connecticut. While I was redshirting. So I got a job, and I was working nights, and um, just reevaluated everything. And she prompted me to say, well, why don't you go look at those schools in New York? They're all state schools.
Mhm.
They're probably a lot more affordable, even for an out of state student. And so she made the phone calls, unbeknownst to me. She called all these coaches, and the only one that came back and really showed some interest was Jim Howard. And
Mhm.
I went up in the summer of that, whatever that year, it was 82, I guess. And, I made the trip to Oswego in August, right? In August of that year.
Yeah, it's
And
still pretty, it's quite
oh,
beautiful up there still at that
oh,
point.
yeah, we took a drive around the campus. I'm going around that, looking at the lake, and I'm like, this is really cool. And
Mhm.
so then he dropped me off with, I was with my brother. He dropped us off with Jerry Oberst.
Yeah, yeah. Jerry was a freshman when I was a senior. We've known each
Okay.
other a long time. Yeah.
Well, he was in the admissions office at that time, and he
Mhm.
was the assistant coach, but he was real, he took some time with us and explained all the, you know, um, all that transfer stuff. And,
Mhm.
he, and then I spent, yeah, I mean, so that was my recruiting trip, but I went out that night with a guy named Mark Bowman uh,
Mhm.
to a place I can't even mention. And people say to this day, said, "You still came back to Oswego?" I said, "Yeah, I came back to Oswego." But in any case, we had a good time, and that's the first time I met Mike Howard. So
Mhm.
Mike was in the process of transferring from Buffalo. Uh, we went out to dinner with him or something like that, and he said, "I got to go to work." He was working out at 9 Mile at the time.
Mhm.
And but anyway, that's how I kind of arrived at Oswego. And Oswego had been third in the country the year before. And I'd seen these, I'd gone to the nationals, even though I was redshirting. I went to watch at Cortland. And so I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind being part of something like that. But where I had gone to school, I was the only, as it turned out, there was like just a couple of guys that could kind of wrestle. And there's like 12 guys on the team. And it was, it was just not a, we didn't have 30 guys in a room.
Right, right.
We didn't really have a room either. So
Yeah. How about that story? I think you shared it with me at one point about Coach Jim Howard. You guys had come back from St. Lawrence or something. He wasn't real happy with some of the results. Would you like to share that story?
Well, that's funny. You got a good memory, but yeah.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. As I was going through our text, it got re-triggered.
Right. So yeah, I was wrestling 126 or 134. I can't remember which year it was. It probably was my junior year. And so I was a junior, and Mark Howard was a senior.
Yeah.
Or we might have been just a year behind. But in any case, it was just one of those unusual things. The coach said, you are coming in, 1 o'clock or something like that on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? So we showed up and I think we probably had one of those 7 o'clock practices that night as well, because the coach liked to, simulate the time you're going to be wrestling in the national finals. Right?
Sure.
So we came in for an afternoon, and sure enough, the coach just felt like he had to show us how to wrestle a little bit, and I couldn't. I said, "Well, let's bring it," So, and I just didn't comprehend that he would be that strong.
Yeah.
And he got on top of us and beat the hell out of us, and
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So
he's a heck of a wrestler, that's for sure. And like I said, I think you'd mentioned that he was probably in his 50s at the time.
Yeah, he must have been 55 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I couldn't believe it. I thought I was a pretty smart guy, I've learned better since.
Yeah, I understand. So what kind of work and everything are you involved with now, Pat?
Yeah, I'm in financial sales. I'm an investment advisor, right?
Okay.
So I started with Merrill Lynch. I started way before, in 1986, kind of on the bank side of stuff, where I was calling up banks and get them to do this and that. But anyway, I worked for Merrill Lynch for 13 years.
Okay.
From 89 to 2002. And I mean, that like so many different sales jobs and whatever, there's a lot of rejection, right? A lot of getting pinned, so to speak.
Yeah.
a lot of no's before any yeses.
Mhm.
And a game of attrition, right? If you can really handle rejection over the course of the first few years, because one in 500 people is going to become a client type of thing.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. I did it, from sun up to sundown, way after sundown, and built a business and I was fortunate, after about 3 years, made it.
Mhm.
Right. And, but it's like a marathon. A lot of people drop off along the way, but,
Sure.
I made it, but I've been doing it for quite a while now. And
Yeah.
I've got a good group of people that work with me and trust me. So,
Yeah. What would you say some of the key life lessons that you have applied to your work that you kind of picked up from wrestling? Obviously, grinding your way to the top of a competitive field like financial services. Obviously, being able to grind like a wrestler certainly had to help you.
yeah, I guess intuitively I always understood this, but coaching club has driven it home more than anything. Really, I've been involved in a pretty good club since about 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and it really brings you back to those times where you see these kids, they grow up, right?
Yeah.
From some of them 5th grade, some of them 7th grade, some of them 9th grade, through to where they're going off to college, and basically, life is just a game of who shows up
Mm-hmm.
consistently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who shows up consistently and does the deal,
Yeah.
right? So doing the deal is, 90% of doing the deal is showing up, I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
Our club, you can get four 4 chances a week, right? And we've got kids that ended up wrestling Division I that I never thought were going to be Division I. We have kids
Wow.
wrestling Division II that I never thought was going to be Division II. We got kids that win state championships. And it's North Carolina. It's not New York,
Yeah.
right? It's not. But we've got some kids that have done pretty well now. We've had our first kid that's qualified for a few times for the big show,
Yeah.
right?
What
He never won it.
school is
He
he
goes,
at?
he goes to App. His name's Thomas Flitz, and he's
Okay.
coming back for his 6th year, in fact.
How many of these guys, do you know a number of those guys at Appalachian State?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had, Randall Diaby.
Right. Well, he beat out one of our kids. I think I might have
Yeah.
mentioned that to you.
I had him as a 7th grader when I was down at Hairston Middle School, and kind of with the other coaches, we kind of got his career launched, and this kid just had huge desire, and he became did very, very well. He was a huge success story, and ironically, he's getting married next spring, and he's invited my wife and myself to come down to his wedding.
Awesome.
So
Where is he now?
yeah. Pardon me?
Where does he live?
I think he's an assistant coach at App State now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. He's out of Greensboro.
Right. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
the kid. So I remember him, and
Yeah.
he ended up beating out one of the kids that we coached. Paul Carson was
Okay.
was one of their the same weight class.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, there's a lot of.
Well, he was a starter for all 4 years at 197. He won the Carolina States, I believe, as a senior.
Right.
And he's a great young man. He's got quite a story behind him too, for sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Well, yeah, I mean, and these kids, it's just remarkable. Yeah, I mean, it's just success in life is based on just doing what you're supposed to do
Mhm.
consistently, and you're going to be ahead of the game. And of course, the harder you work, but maintaining a positive attitude and just keeping going, and when you fail, it's just part of life, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
you don't get better in wrestling by finding everybody you can beat, right? You only get
Right.
better by competing against people that are hand in your head. You've got to find somebody that can beat you down, right?
Mhm.
and that's the only way you're going to get better.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's the way life is, I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely would agree with that. And Pat, this has been fantastic. Any last second thoughts or ideas that you have for, I kind of gear this toward teens and young adults, or your club guys or whatever. Any last thoughts you have here?
Just stay positive, and find the people in your life that that make you a better person, and hang around with them, right? Hang with them, and try to be an example, like and maybe get tremendously successful, like Shane. Do things like that.
Sure. Yeah, he
Uh,
did. And how about a quick shout out as far as your new grandson? Tell us about him briefly here.
Well, he's just a handsome little devil, He's like
Takes
like
after
his
grandpa.
like his dad and his dad's dad.
Right.
It's all good. It's just there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, if you could hang for a second after I stop this video, that would be great. I think you brought a lot of great ideas and everything. And like I say, just keep, as I said, 3/4 of success is just keep showing up, consistently, and doing, like I say, doing the deal. I liked what you had to say there.
Well, thank you. And I would like to thank Oswego and Coach Howard and all my friends, all my buddies, and everybody that took me in, because I was an out-of-state guy, so it was kind of weird, and I didn't know anybody when I first got to Oswego at all. But they're my family.
Yeah, it is a great family for sure, and I'm sure that Michael and Coach Jim Howard will really be pleased to see this for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Just hang tight for a second, and I'll be right with you.
Okay, sounds good.